Hello everyone and welcome back to Mathematics. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to apply the order of operations to solve more complex expressions in mathematics. So this just involves when you're doing multiple integers in one problem where you're adding a lot of them together or subtracting them, and it also includes division and multiplication. So what is the order of operations? So commonly what we call the order of operations, if you see right here on the left side, is we call it PEMDAS. And PEMDAS is just a mnemonic that helps us remember what each of these mean, and it's just the order that we follow solving the problems in. So what PEMDAS means in order is parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, and add and subtract. And so those are just the different operations in the order of things that you have to do. So what that means is when I'm solving a problem, I have to first do everything in parentheses, then I have to do my exponents, then I have to multiply and divide from left to right, and that's why we put them together. You always have to start from the left and then go to the right. And I'm going to tell you that frequently. After you multiply and divide, then you do addition and subtraction. And so again, that's also left to right, and you have to make sure you always do it left to right in those order steps. So let me give you a few problems to show you what I mean. So for order of operations, or real quick before I do that, I want to give you a mnemonic that's going to help you remember this. When I first learned this, I just remembered the mnemonic, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And so if I just remember that, that gives me a very useful way to memorize this. Please for P, excuse for E, my for multiply, dear for divide, and for addition, and Sally for subtraction. So you just have a mnemonic to help you remember the order of steps. I always go by please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now let me give you one problem to show you. So let's say I have a multiple integer problem and I'm subtracting or adding multiple times. So let's say I have 3 plus 2 minus negative 5. So when I have multiple integers I'm doing, I have to always follow the order of operations. So I go down the list. Parentheses. I see parentheses, but there's nothing I can really do in these parentheses. These parentheses are just to offset my integer, so don't get confused about that. So this is just to offset my integer from the negative right here. So there's no operation here, so no parentheses. Exponent. I don't see any exponents, and what an exponent is essentially a number raised to a power. You may or may not have done this yet. So for example, if I had 3 to the power of 2, this is what we call an exponent. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. So now I'm going to keep going. Multiply, divide. Do I see any multiplication or division symbols? I do not. So I do not do that. Now I'm going to add, subtract. So now that I need to add, subtract, I have to do it from left to right. I have to always follow that order because that's what the order of operations implies. I do not just add and subtract any way I want. I have to make sure it's always from left to right because that's our convention. So I'm going to start with 3 plus negative 2. So 3 plus negative 2 is 5. So I'm now adding my first 2 together on the left, and then I'm going to just rewrite everything else. Negative, or subtract, minus 5 or negative 5. And now I can solve this. 5 minus negative 5, I can just think back to some of my rules that I learned when adding integers. I can either use a number line or a visual model, or I can do the key change mnemonic or method. So I'm just going to think when I subtract a negative number, it's the same as adding the opposite. So I'm just going to do 5 instead plus a positive 5 because this should be a positive once I do that. So it's just 5 plus 5 and that's equal to 10. That is just one step on what the order of operations means. So let me do one more. So let's say I did, negative 7 minus 2 plus 5 plus 4. So I'm going to do order of operations. I'm going to go from left to right. Always when I see always when I see subtraction and addition signs, I always go left to right. And the same with the multiply division, but we haven't gotten there yet. So negative 7 minus 2, I start here. So I'm going to subtract 2. So negative 7 minus 2 means I'm going to the negative direction on the number line. So I'm getting bigger negative. I'm going to become a bigger negative. So that is negative 9. I'm going to bring down everything else. Sorry, my 9 looks really terrible. And now I'm just going to keep going from left to right. Negative 9 plus 5. So that means I'm adding to a debt. So in this case, negative 9, I owe somebody $9. And so I'm going to add $5, so I'm paying them back. So I only should owe them $4 left, so negative 4. And now I'm going to bring down my positive 4. And now I'm just going to add them together because this is the last step of my solution. So negative 4 plus 4 is just 0 because they're opposite integers, or we call them the additive inverse. Negative 4, negative 4's additive inverse is 4. So because I'm adding them together, it's always 0. So that's how you apply the order of operations. I hope that helped you understand this better. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.